Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Tuesday, August the 12th, 2025. And just excuse the noise in the background there. Someone's got a wood chipper across the road. Can't really go anywhere else, unfortunately, on this road, but I'm sure, hopefully, with this microphone that it's not too bad and you can hear me okay. Let's start with on this day. Let's go back to the year 2000. And Evander Holyfield beat John Ruiz by 12-round unanimous decision to win the Bacon WBA heavyweight title. That was at the Paris in Las Vegas. Now, I wasn't aware the Paris casino, that is, ever had boxing there, let alone a world title fight. So that's news to me. Ruiz was a 4-1 underdog, and it was a controversial decision. I remember the fight. I remember it being close, but I don't think it was necessarily controversial. But anyway, they had 3 fights, and Holyfield became the first 4-time world heavyweight champion. I know that it's a little bit diluted. Not just with the heavyweights, but all divisions, with all the different belts and vacant belts and interim belts and all that sort of stuff. But he was a 4-time heavyweight champion. Also on this day, a really sad event occurred. The legendary Mexican champion Salvador Sanchez was killed in a car accident in Mexico City. This was after he'd beaten Azuma Nelson just a few weeks earlier. His last, it was a month or so earlier, I think it was. Yeah, it was. So he'd beaten Azuma Nelson a month earlier and was at the age of 23, tragically killed in a car accident, and retired. I think it was a 44 1-1 record, I think, with 32 knockouts. So just 23 years of age, had 46 fights. He had wins over the likes of Juan Laporte, Wilfredo Gomez, and arguably his biggest win, Azuma Nelson. Actually, I think at the time, Wilfredo Gomez was the much bigger win. Azuma Nelson would arguably become a better fighter or more renowned fighter than Gomez, but at the time, that was the super fight. Sanchez and Wilfredo Gomez was the super fight of that era. And Gomez, I think he pretty much had nearly all his fights won by knockout, multiple world champion. And Salvador Sanchez knocked him out in the 8th round, I think at 21 or 22 years of age. So what a champion this guy could have been. But that's what happened on this day. Now, onto the Aussie stuff, Aussie news. Some really disappointing news coming out this morning that the Andrew Maloney-RG Cortez fight is off. Nothing, well, it's been reported on multiple sites, but nothing from Andrew as yet, as of the recording of this video. But by all accounts, the fight, if you remember, was originally July the 19th. Then it was put back to August the 6th. Then it was put back, or the 6th or the 9th or something like that. And then it was put back, it was the 9th. Then it was put back to the 16th, which is this weekend. Now it's gone from, I think it was Durango in Mexico to Mexico City. Now, I'm assuming you're not very familiar with Mexico, but that is 500 miles or 800 kilometers. Come on, buddy, let's get away from this noise. Away from Durango. So, again, haven't seen Andrew's statement on the issue, but by all accounts is sick of the all the stuffing around. And who knows, there could have been other things there. I'm only sort of guessing, but who knows, there could have been purse changes and official changes and all this sort of stuff. But to go to Mexico City, which is, it's probably bad enough going to his home country, but to go to his home town, and who knows what with the judges, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, really disappointing news for Andrew Maloney, and he's been over there for quite some time. I mean, I think by the time the fight would have come around, it would have been about 6 weeks or something that he's been over there. He was over there, I think, for 2 weeks before the original date. Then it was put back again. So you got to remember how hard it would have, well, imagine how hard it would have been for Andrew Maloney to have that date. So they would have scheduled his training, his weight cut, all that sort of stuff for July the 19th. And it would have been, all right, well, it's 3 weeks. It's been put back 3 weeks. I think it was. So the 19th, yeah, it would have been 3 weeks. He would have been like, okay, that's fine. We can pull training back a little bit. we can maybe eat up a little bit to get a little bit stronger for that 3 weeks worth of solid training. Then it's been put back yet 1 more week, so you see where I'm going with it. And then to have the location changed and have to I'm assuming, fly 800 kilometres away. And then with all, who knows what other unknown little things they were going to throw at Andrew. So I think knowing Andrew and Angelo Hyder and Tony Tolge and the whole team, I would expect that the issues they were facing over there would have been significant, because there's no way they would pull out of a fight like this with this how much is riding on it if it wasn't 100% worth it. So I'm not so sure what happens now. Knowing Andrew, he'd be so disappointed in this. I'm assuming they'd be on probably the plane today coming home. But the good news is, I'm not sure what happens with the IBF rankings. This was obviously an eliminator. So whether he slips down the rankings or the IBF simply leave him as he is. Cortez, by the way, has got another opponent. I can't remember who it was, but I did see his record. He's lost 3 of his last 4. So on short notice, of course, you can imagine that. But so you would think that Andrew would retain his number 2 ranking with the IBF. He's still ranked number 2 with the WBC and 3 with the WBO, or vice versa. So look, he's still got options, but he would be bitterly disappointed. And this is probably one of those instances where fans have probably got it. Well, they might say, oh well, he's left and he's pulled out of the fight. Just as I said, just keep in mind that there's no way he would have willingly done this or made the decision easily to fly home, to give up a world title eliminator. Not to mention the cost involved. 6 weeks away with the training camp with no purse. Not ideal at all. So wishing Andy and the team all the best. I'm hoping that once he speaks and they get onto the IBF, that there'll be maybe a rescheduled fight with Cortez. Maybe they'll allow him to fight somebody else for that eliminator. I don't know, but yeah, it's just really disappointing news for Andrew Maloney and the whole team, because this is the last thing you want is to go over there for that amount of time and then have to get on a plane and come home. And you think back to, was it last year with Mikhailovic and Janabek, went through the same thing when Janabek actually got to the day before the weigh-in and pulled out. So really disappointing for Andrew Maloney. Some other news, I see yesterday Nikita Zoo has lashed out at Michael's Arafa. The first time we've probably seen Nikita Zoo with a little bit of spice in his voice or his comments. I don't know whether he's sort of been urged to maybe not be so nice to Michael and maybe, just get things sort of rolling on the Michael's Arafa fight front. But he did say that it was an interesting comment, actually. What did he say? I'm just going to go to it now because it was very unlike Andrew Maloney. Let's have a quick look. If I can find it here. Yes, all right. Probably should have been organised. It's not coming up. But anyway, he did say that there's a couple of different versions of Michael's Arafa. The hero, or I think it was the hero, the villain and the victim, and just depends on what situation suits him best of what Michael's Arafa you'll get. So look, this is probably the only negative thing I've ever heard actually Nikita Zoo say about anybody. Really, he's always just his own man and doesn't really like to get involved in the trash talking, all this sort of stuff. But he said he's got a long memory. He remembers what Michael's Arafa said about his family, and just because he's been quiet doesn't mean that he's forgotten about it. So I don't know. And then they sort of went on the article to continue to talk about the prospect of the Brock Jarvis fight. Excuse me, there, got an itch on the shoulder. The Brock Jarvis fight maybe being next. So look, you got to look through the spin of this whole thing, I suppose, and sort of see it for what it is. And this is what promoters have to do. This is what they do. Speaking of what they do, George Rose spoke about Liam Parro and his move to 147, the targeting the IBF fight. Now they've got the eliminator coming up, haven't they? It's a vacant world title fight. So it's hang on, where are they? What are you doing there, Neil? All right, so welterweight. So you got Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan fighting for that vacant IBF belt. Now Liam Parro at the moment is ranked number 7, while 6. There's a Number 2 is unrated. So you've got Crocker at 1, Donovan at 2. That would make Liam Parro number 6. And that is the title they're going to be going for. Now, there is a big fight apparently imminent to be announced with Liam Parro. Obviously, it's not going to be a world title fight with these two anyway, because I think they're fighting this weekend or the following weekend or whatever. So you would think that maybe Liam Parro will have a tune-up fight in another sort of couple of months. Then maybe they target the winner of the Crocker and Donovan fight at the end of the year or early in 2026. So it looks like they've got the path for Liam Parro all worked out. He's not actually rated, as far as I can see, by anyone else at welterweight at 147. These rankings are about a week old, so maybe they haven't updated them since Liam said he was going to 147, except of course the IBF, who have him at, as I said, number at 6. So look, I'm excited for Liam, excuse me, at 147. I think he's a very, very good fighter, and I think he can win that IBF belt if given the opportunity. And who knows, then you got the potential fights with a Ramiro or a Barrios or a Haney/Norman, whoever wins that fight. So really exciting times for Liam Parro. George Rose did also say that he had the potential to actually go back to 140 if the need arises. I doubt it. Yeah, I strongly doubt that once you go up that you come back down at that age. So there's some exciting times for Liam. Actually, on Talking Boxing last night, someone actually brought up that they saw that George Cambosus is talking about a potential world title fight. Now, I find that very, very hard to believe. I hope I'm wrong. I think that'd be great for George, but he's not ranked by any organisations now. And I think, I've been a big fan of George over the journey and what he's brought to Australian boxing, but I think his best days are behind him. The only fight I think for George at the moment would be a Liam Parro fight. So maybe that's the fight they're talking about. I don't know, but that would mean, of course, Liam would have to go back down to 140, which, as I said, I don't think he'll do. But yeah, look, I don't know. I would think that George, I don't think he's 100% finished yet. I wouldn't be surprised if he has just maybe one more fight, some sort of money fight where it might be with maybe a fellow former champion or an up-and-coming contender that they want to put him in there with. I don't know, but yeah, I've got to say, unfortunately, I think maybe George's days at the top are over. But all the best to him anyway with whatever direction he takes. But that's sort of the Aussie news at the moment. Now, everyone's hit the fan, or the shit's hit the fan over the last sort of 12 hours or something. They've announced the Canelo and Crawford undercard. Now, everyone's losing their shit. Now, the undercard now I agree, by the way, very, very shallow undercard. But let me just talk a little bit more about that in a second. We've got Christian Mbili against Lester Martinez. Now, we all, I think, agree that Christian Mbili is a very entertaining fighter, always comes to fight. Not really familiar with Lester Martinez. We have Muhammad Alakal and John Ornelas. And we have Cullen Walsh and Fernando Vargas Jr. Now, I really welcome having Fernando Vargas Jr. on the card. All the Vargases can fight. Now, the argument is that everyone's, and I think the writer of that article just contradicted himself, said, how can we be expected to pay a $7.99 subscription fee to Netflix and be served up this crap? Are you kidding me? Let me go into bat here. Now, I've been a very, very vocal critic on occasions of Turki Al-Sheikh and his corporation and everything else. But I think in this instance, I think we all have to just calm down a bit. This is, well, to get the fights, you've got to pay, and most of us are already Netflix subscribers anyway. So, but if you are one of those new subscribers like this writer here, and you've got to pay $7.99 to watch Canelo and Crawford, do you really give a shit what the undercard is like? I mean, fair income. This is not like we've been asked to pay $80 or $90 on DAZN or Foxtel here in Australia, or Main Event. This is simply to get the fight card. You simply have to pay $7.99. Or I'm not sure that's American, by the way. It might be a little bit more in Australia, but I think sometimes you even get a free subscription if you sign up for the first time. So I think we've all got to just calm down a little bit. And I think this is one of those rare fights where it doesn't matter about the undercard. You go back to Mayweather and Pacquiao, no one gave a toss about the undercard. Even Fury and Usyk. I understand with a lot of these Riyadh season cards, I get that they're selling the card, the event. This is not one of those occasions. They're selling Crawford versus Canelo, or Canelo versus Crawford, I should say. So I don't subscribe to, look, I'll agree it's a shit undercard, but I think we've all got to just say, hey, all right, okay, it's was it here in Australia? $12, $13, $14, I don't know what it is, but what do we pay by the month for Netflix? Actually, it's part of my Foxtel subscription, so I don't even know. As most people here in Australia, they would get that if they've got Foxtel, they would have Netflix. And if you haven't got Foxtel, well, you probably pay, I don't know, is it $15 or something a month? I don't know. But either way, I mean, you have you have to sign up for a subscription for a month or two to get Canelo versus Crawford. I think we're just overreacting just a little bit. And as I said, I think this is one of those events where it doesn't matter who's on the undercard. It's about the main event. Now, the thing is, only thing I will say about Turki Al-Sheikh, he did say we'd have the young tigers and the ones that would, the young prospects that would turn up and give a fight. Well, that's probably what we're going to get. I know they're probably not the names, the big names that we probably wanted in all the title fights, but at the end of the day, I've got to probably just defend Turki Al-Sheikh. I don't like that he's put on the undercard, but I understand it. The undercard that he has. I do understand what he's done or what they're doing. And don't forget too, they're putting on at least one more card during the week. Now, I'm not sure, maybe they might make it so if you're over there, the fight ticket gets you into the event or something, I don't know. Or maybe you get the fight card, that fight card will be on Netflix as well, free. I don't know. But either way, I think we've all just got to relax a bit, and I think we've all got a bit carried away lately with, I understand with the pay-per-views and what we're paying, but I would think this is not here in Australia where you're paying $60 or $70 for a pay-per-view. You're paying 1 month subscription to sign up and get Canelo versus Crawford. So while I'm not happy about it, I totally understand, and as I said, can defend Turki Al-Sheikh here. Now, speaking of that, Michael Hunter and Big Baby Miller fight, now that's going to be fight week. Now, Don King has actually sent a letter of, is it the cease and desist letter to the promoters, which is CELA, isn't it? That's what they're called. Because Don King has actually got Michael Hunter signed to fight Kubrat Pulev. I think he won the purse bid, and that fight was supposed to be, I think, in 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So he's trying to put a stop to that. But I could probably understand Michael Hunter saying, well, you won the purse bid because he signed to Don King. You've won the purse bid, but where's the fight? You haven't planned the fight. And Don King doesn't do many fights at all these days. So you would, as I said, I think you would quite understand Michael Hunter saying, well, you've won the purse bid. The fight was supposed to be by August 23rd. And here we are 2 weeks before and nothing's been organised. So I've got a feeling that cease and desist letter will be maybe invalid or thrown out or whatever it might be. But Don King is normally persistent in this area. He's known for doing this sort of thing and has been quite successful. So let's see what happens there. And the last thing was a couple of things. Looks like Fabio Wardley will now fight Kubrat Pulev if that Michael Hunter thing falls over. I think Frank Warren was talking about maybe doing it by the end of the year. So that's probably good for Wardley. He's got the interim title, obviously, but this will be for the, well, it's not for the full belt. Is it the regular belt, the full belt? I don't know. It's the one that Usyk doesn't have. That's the only thing I can think of. But that's looking like the end of the year. And the other one, Boots Ennis is back in Philadelphia on October 11th against, is it Yusima Lima? I think that's his name. I don't know much about him, but he's back now. Eddie Hearn did say the other day they were looking at a top 5 solid opponent for Boots Ennis. I don't think this guy really qualifies from what I've seen. I can't remember seeing him fight. I looked him up on BoxRec, no real notable names on there, but I don't remember actually seeing him fight. Might have been on an undercard or something somewhere, but geez, it's a really disappointing letdown for Boots Ennis. If this is the best Eddie Hearn can come up with his 154-pound debut, very, very lackluster from Eddie. I expected more. I didn't expect him to jump up and fight Virgil Ortiz straight away, by the way, although many past champions have made the leap and gone straight into those big fights. To fight this guy, I think it's very lackluster, and they've put it in Philadelphia, which is Ennis's hometown, but I don't see the sense in wasting everyone's time, especially Boots Ennis's, and putting him in there with this guy who will probably no doubt destroy. and again, it just achieved nothing. I'll probably get him ranked, although he is already ranked with most of the 154-pound sanctioning bodies. So I'm not sure. He's going to get those big fights. Maybe what he's trying to do is maybe just keep busy, and maybe there's a big fight that's sort of been planned for early next year, and they just want him to get a tune-up fight beforehand. I don't know, but maybe Fundora or maybe they've. Who else is there? You've got Murtazaliev. He needs. Well, there you go. Bakram Murtazaliev needs an opponent. Boots Ennis wants to fight around the same time, so why not get those guys together? That would have been the perfect fight to make. Anyway, but yeah, really disappointing from Boots Ennis. This is the best that they've come up with for him. But having said that, guys, that will do it for today's episode. I hope you have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you tomorrow.